Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football. Welcome back to the channel. We are here for your tight end start and sit video. We'll be breaking down every single game and giving you advice as far as tight end you should be considering on your lineup or benching this week. So let's jump right into it. So before we begin, make sure you guys check out all my other start and sit videos as well to help you guys figure this out. We are week 1 of the NFL, which means you got some great games, starting off with the Thursday night game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, as a Cowboy fan, I am looking very much forward to this game to kind of get an idea of how these Cowboys play. And with that said, unfortunately, I don't love this matchup for Jake Ferguson against the Philadelphia Eagles. Last season, Ferguson without obviously Dak Prescott was kind of average. He only averaged 7 points a game. He had a couple games here or there, but this is a tough matchup for him. Now, on the other flip side, I actually do like Dallas Goedert this week. He's not an outstanding tight end. He probably will finish around the tight end 10 to 12 range. So again, he's in that fringe tight end starting position, but I do like him this matchup. I do think he's going to get a few passes here or there, and I think he actually ends up scoring in this game. So again, in this Thursday night game, I do like Dallas Goedert. Now, jumping into the Friday game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers. Now, this is the Brazil game. So again, this is free on YouTube. So make sure you guys check that out. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to watch this game. Between these two tight ends, I look at Travis Kelce as a must start. I know he wasn't amazing last season, but he still finished in the top 10, even with his average season. I know and understand that Travis Kelce is not the premier tight end that he used to be. There's others that have obviously supplanted him. With that said, though, he's an absolute start this week. He's got a great matchup against the Chargers. He's always done a really good job against them. And of course, with Rashee Rice not being there, I do think obviously Kelce has a really good start in the beginning of this season. Now, Will Dissly, though, don't love the matchup. He was very average last season, and he was very poor against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs' defense has been outstanding. A lot of people always talk about the offense, Mahomes and Kelce and Worthy and Rashee Rice. But realistically, this Kansas City Chiefs defense has been amazing, top 10 almost every single year. And again, with that said, Dissly is going to be on the bench. Now, jumping into the early Sunday games, you've got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Saints. Of this matchup, of course, you're going to start Trey McBride. He's probably the first tight end, if not second tight end, taken off most draft boards. So you're going to put him in there. And when you have a tight end like that, you don't ever have to watch videos like these because you know you're going to put him in your lineup. He averaged over 15 points a game last season. He was one of the best, only behind Bowers last year. And if he get a few more touchdowns, I think he ends up being the #1 tight end this year. Now, Juwan Johnson, on the other hand, for the Saints, not starting him. Again, very average, very low output. He is going to get some targets just because there's not a lot of weapons for Rattler in the Saints. But for me, unless you're in a really deep league, I am not starting Juwan Johnson. Next game I'm going to mention is going to be the Panthers versus the Jaguars. Now, in this one, you could go back and forth. I actually do like the start of Britton Strange for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He actually had some really good games last season. Again, obviously, Evan Ingram was there, but when Evan Ingram was out, Strange actually had some really good games, and now he gets to take on that starting role for the upcoming season for Trevor Lawrence. And I love this one because I think Trevor Lawrence really does love the tight end position, and I think Strange is going to get some options his way. I'm not going to he's not going to wow you. He's probably going to get 10 points or so, which is all you really need out of your tight end position because you've got other players to help make that happen and help you obviously have a successful win. Now, as far as the sits go, of course, I'm not going to play Ja'Tavion Sanders. Now, Sanders, for me, I like the rookie. He's definitely been in some of my dynasty content. I think he's going to be one of those players that actually will end up being a nice little stud going forward. But this week, I'm not going to play him. He only had 4 points last season, and I just don't see enough targets his way. I think the Panthers end up using some other weapons. Jumping into the Bucs versus Falcons, this one I actually like both tight ends. I like Otton and I like Kyle Pitts. I get it. I think everyone at this point is now off the Kyle Pitts train. I still think he might secretly have a good season. I know because I have drafted him and I'm hoping maybe others have stopped, so maybe he'll actually start doing well this season. Jokes aside, though, I do like this matchup. Pitts actually tore it up against the Tampa Bay Bucs last season. He had some really good games. Again, not amazing. Now, Cade actually did pretty good last season. He was a really solid option. He'll get you that 10 to 12 points almost every single week. And realistically, when you're in a pass offense like this, Otton is going to see his opportunities even with the other two receivers that are on the Bucs. I like Otton a lot. Jumping into the Steelers versus the Jets. I actually don't like really any of the tight ends here. I'm going to sit Freiermuth, even though, again, he was a really good tight end last season. He finished in the top 10. Jonnu Smith, yeah, again, really good season last year with the Dolphins. Now jumps into this offense. I'm not really sure how they're going to play out with both tight ends, so I'm not really comfortable. Plus, the Jets are actually a really good defense. And on the flip side, the Steelers' defense has been amazing as well. And then you got the rookie Mason Taylor now getting an opportunity. And for me, just like anything else, Aaron Rodgers, when you saw him play for the Jets, they didn't really throw to the tight end. I don't see that changing much in this one. And now that you have Fields, maybe he'll get a few targets here or there, but I don't think this is going to be an option for Mason Taylor. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him before I start recommending him as some starts this week or this season. Now, Bengals and Browns. Bengals, I'm going to sit Mike Gesicki, even though he actually did pretty well last season. He actually averaged just under 9 points a game, which is pretty good. He actually did a really good job. He stood out, especially when there were opportunities like when Higgins was out, Gesicki blew it up. But with both receivers and Higgins and Chase being healthy, and for me, I don't think this is going to be an option for Gesicki. Plus, the Browns are actually pretty good against Mike Gesicki last season, holding him under 7 points a game. On the flip side, though, I love David Njoku. You're going to absolutely start him. He finished at 13 points last season per game. Really strong production. Going to get opportunities outside of Jerry Jeudy. And I do think they're going to have to play catch up against Cincinnati, which means Flacco's going to be throwing him the ball. Love the matchup. Jumping into the Dolphins versus Colts, I actually like both tight ends. I know that's crazy because Darren Waller's coming out of retirement. We haven't really seen him during preseason. You don't know what's going to happen with him. He was kind of hurt this offseason. But I actually like this matchup. Prior to his retirement, he was about 10 points a game, going against a Colts defense that has struggled against the tight end position. Then you got the rookie in Tyler Warren, who I really love. And so far in camp, in offseason and in the preseason, he was definitely targeted quite heavily, actually. And I think Daniel Jones might actually take opportunity to that. One of the better tight ends coming out of college, very similar to what you saw in Brock Bowers. I love Tyler Warren this week. I'm going to absolutely start him. Next game we're talking about is the Raiders versus the Patriots. Again, two tight ends I really like. Bowers, obviously the number one tight end. He was taken in a lot of second round, third round picks. And for me, the number one tight end is going to continue to that success. I think between him and McBride, whoever gets the most touchdowns will actually end up finishing number one. I do like Bowers this week. Good matchup. Same thing on this one. Hunter Henry, great matchup. The Raiders actually struggled against the tight end position. And Hunter Henry actually had some really good games last season. He was not a name that a lot of people talked about. He's probably even on waivers right now if you're trying to stream your tight end. Again, definitely a great option. I would put him in my lineup. Going into the Jets versus the Commanders, I'm sitting both tight ends. Theo Johnson has some flashes. Obviously, a younger tight end going into this one. We're not really sure how Russell Wilson's going to utilize his tight end. He's not necessarily been a quarterback that's going to always throw to the tight end. And we're not sure how this offense goes in this new scheme for them. With that said, though, Theo Johnson, I think, does have a future, and I like him a lot. I think he's one of those tight ends that might actually have a secret sleep, type of season. Zach Ertz had some good games last season. But with the addition of Deebo Samuel, I do think that's going to take away some of it from Zach Ertz. And Ertz was really touchdown dependent on a few of those games. And let's be honest, the Giants defense actually has done a pretty good job in their linebacking core, and they can do a really good job holding Zach Ertz from having a really good game. Now, the Titans and Broncos game, I love Evan Ingram. I've talked about him all off season. If you watched him in mock drafts or anything like that, great start. I think he's going to actually thrive really, really well in this offense for the Broncos. Again, remember what happened when you had Sean Payton and a good tight end. It was amazing. And I do think that's going to have some success. Now, hopefully he's healthy. He's a little bit older, aging tight end, but I really like him. Now, Chig Okonkwo, this is a tough matchup. Broncos defense is way too good. I don't think Chig's going to get a lot of opportunities his way. Again, like I mentioned of these other offenses, I do think he's going to get some passes here or there, but not enough that I would put him in my lineup. Now, if you're in a deeper league, of course you're going to start him. Now, the 49ers and Seahawks, obviously you're going to start George Kittle. George Kittle is amazing. He was the number one tight end last season, just squeaking by Bowers. And George Kittle should continue to have that same success. The wide receiver core, a little iffy, right? Pearsall coming off injury. Jennings coming off injury. You don't have Brandon Ayuk. And Brock Purdy absolutely loves his tight end and Kittle and actually trusts him no matter what the coverage looks like. Now, on the flip side, the Seahawks, you're going to sit A.J. Barner because of the 49ers defense. Barner did not do well last season. And I'm not really sure how Sam Darnold is going to do throwing to the tight end position. He had, Hawkinson a little bit last season for the Vikings, but not enough to really kind of give me a perspective of what Sam Darnold is going to do in this offense. So for me, Barner's going to be a sit. Lions, Packers, I'm starting both tight ends, Sam Laporta and Tucker Kraft. Now, Sam Laporta did struggle against the Packers last season. He did not do amazing, and he actually struggled overall. I kind of saw it coming because he was way too touchdown dependent the year before. With that said, though, I'm going to put him in there because you probably drafted him decently high, and he's still going to get you about 11 to 12 points a game. Really solid performance, about mid. I think he finishes around tight end 10 or 11 for this week. I love Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft did amazing last season. He actually really emerged as a strong tight end option for Jordan Love in this Packers offense, and I would continue to love to see that. I think Kraft is one of those tight ends that you could have gotten super late in drafts and would be very happy with on your fantasy roster. Jumping into the Texans-Rams game, Dalton Schultz, I'm going to start him. I know it's kind of odd, but the Rams defense actually kind of struggled against the tight end position, and he's more of a streaming tight end. He's not somebody I'm going to absolutely put, like you've got to put in your lineup. But I do think because of the offense, I think he may have to throw quickly and short, which means Dalton Schultz may actually be the beneficiary for Stroud because he's going to be that guy who's going to turn around after 5 yards or so and get a few balls. If he scores, that's great, but I think he might get 6 to 7 receptions and about 50 to 60 yards, get you nice little double digits. Now, I'm going to sit Tyler Higbee for the Rams. Not sure how he's going to fit in this offense, just because obviously Parkinson came in and had some good games here or there. Plus, realistically, Higbee's coming off that injury from the year before. Rehabbing it, playing it a little bit in this season. I'm not really sure how he is. He did get a full offseason, which is awesome. But again, I'm not 100% putting him on my starting lineup. Now, jumping into the Sunday night game, the Ravens versus the Bills, you're going to start Mark Andrews. Great matchup. Likely is out, which means Andrews is going to get some opportunities. And he's still Lamar Jackson's favorite target. I know Zay Flowers is eating at that, and Zay Flowers well deserves it, but Mark Andrews is definitely going to start. He still was one of the better tight ends, even when he had some inconsistencies. I'm going to put him in there. I'm actually going to sit Dalton Kincaid. I've seen other analysts think Dalton Kincaid has a good matchup and really want to put him in there. I actually saw Kincaid being drafted pretty low in a lot of drafts, and I don't think he may even be rostered in some leagues that I've seen. With that said, though, this is not a good matchup. Ravens actually played really good against the tight end position last season, and I expect him to be very similar to that. And again, like anything else, with this new offensive weapon on the outside with Palmer there, you still got Shakir and Keelan Coleman. I think those receivers have actually stepped it up, and I don't think Kincaid has been. He's kind of been the odd one out in that one. Now, the Monday night game between the Bears versus the Vikings, I actually am going to start TJ Hawkinson. Again, really good tight end. He was probably drafted in the top 10 anyways when it comes to tight end position. And when he does play, he has been a really good tight end. Obviously, you got J.J. McCarthy, who may actually utilize him across the middle, especially with Addison being out. Now, Hawkinson becomes a second, option for McCarthy outside of Justin Jefferson. I am going to start the rookie, Colston Loveland. I think he's going to be that Sam Laporta role. You think of Ben Johnson coming to Chicago. I think Loveland takes advantage of that. And he looks really good in the offseason. I love Cole Kmet myself, even though Cole Kmet, I think, is the odd man out. I'm going to have him as a sit just because I do think he's kind of probably going to be eaten out of this offense. I think Loveland's going to get a lot more opportunities. I wouldn't be surprised if they do run 2 tight end, but they love the receivers as well. So it's going to be interesting how Ben Johnson handles this offense. So I'd love to see more before I really put Cole Kmet in there. So those are my start sits for the week 1 of the NFL. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys check out all my other videos as well. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button as well. Obviously, we're going to be putting out content all season long to help you guys out. Hit me up in the comments if you have questions, and I'll check you guys out next time.